I'm attempting to build a self-balancing ecosystem aquarium with a little bit of a difference. I'm actually going for quite a complicated design instead of the usual simple ones. In the last video, I cleaned out an aquarium, spruced up all the glass a bit, and then laid in a full nutrient-rich substrate system. A little bit different to usual, I've banked it so high because I'm going for an elaborate hardscape design in this tank. Now I know this ecosystem design works well with simple hardscape layouts, so I'm really testing the boundaries on this one and going for something far more elaborate. I designed quite an intricate system of wood with kind of like a pathway up the middle and a vanishing point on the left hand side. I then placed rocks at seemingly random places, but this was all part of the design to allow me to glue all the wood to the rocks so they didn't just float up when we filled the whole thing up. Now that I had the height sorted and the design how I wanted it, it was time to fill in the gaps with our nutrient-rich substrate system. This is the thing that's going to provide all the nutrients to the roots, get the plants growing amazing, and look after the tank. It's a mixture of pond soil and gravel as a base layer, which is then capped off with a sand. Now in this build I used a sand from a builder's merchant, which was so dirty, and after washing it for ages, it was finally clean, and I could go around and cap all those nutrient areas to make sure they don't float into the water column. After a quick rinse, I then put in some decorative gravel and just a bit more detail. Doing this really brings it to life and makes it look a bit more realistic in my opinion. You can also use it to hide any glue points and any cracks and crevices you think that detritus might collect. Come the end of the day, I was really pleased with the result, and I'm now looking forward to moving on to the next stage in this video, which will be planting it all and filling it up. So as happy as I am that I'm pushing the boundaries with my hardscape design and complexity in this one, I want to go even further. What I want to do next is go along and collect up any little pieces like this, just create a really viney route to all the larger pieces of wood. Like I've got quite a few nice pieces up here and that I can take apart. So yeah, should be able to get it to look really intricate. Yeah, here we go. Look, I've got absolutely loads of the little sticks. Oh, that looks great. No, but what I want to do is, just bring all of this out a little bit more and just add different shapes to it all, flowing in a similar direction. Now obviously they're all going to need to be glued in, but that's not a problem. I'll take these back out now, that was just for visual effect. And I can actually use them to link these two parts a bit better, just to make it look a bit more cohesive. So if you want, you don't have to do this, I'm just now adding another layer of complexity to it. And just like before, I'm just going to keep adding stuff, seeing if it adds to it or takes away from it. If it does, either it stays or it goes. There we go, look, I've added in some extras. You can see over here, look, just kind of keep that sort of shape going with it, but like just smaller twigs, and then this way it's just coming around like that as well. So yeah, just some little accents, nothing too major, but I think it does add to it. Looks a little bit odd at the moment because everything's kind of different colors, but it won't do when the water's in there and after a couple of weeks. Now I do have to glue all these little bits onto the main structure, of course, because otherwise they're just going to float. That is looking great, but it's now time to go next level because I'm not trying to just recreate what I've done before. I'm trying to push it up a notch, not keep it so basic, and see if the same principles will work in more of an advanced level, which I'm pretty sure they will. For example, the original ecosystem tank was all very simple plants. We've got limnophilia, we've got loads of crypts. It all just grows great and it looks fantastic, but it's not very advanced. There are fish in here. I've just fished out a load of plants that are in the way. They're all hiding in the back. Also, the wood did not contain any moss at all. I'm gonna go moss heavy on the new one. Because we've got all these awesome, crazy, sticks coming out of here, there, and everywhere, it'd be criminal not to cover them in some moss, right? And that's where it's back to my moss harvesting tank, the forest. I've been growing this for this very reason. We've got loads at the front, and there's also loads in the back as well. There we go, collected up loads. Look at that, there's an absolute ton of moss in there, and it's pushed down as well. It's really opened up the jungle tank, but I need to get rid of some of that Valison area. In fact, we'll probably put some in this tank as well. I'm trying to put as many species of plants as possible. Right, let's get mossing. First thing to do, lay your moss on the wood where you're gonna want it, and then take your cotton and get wrapping. This was quite a good move actually. So all the smaller sticks of things, it's easy to get the cotton to wrap around it. So that's not a problem at all. But this one down here would have been very, very difficult, for me to keep wrapping around that. So all I've done instead is grab a different stick, wrap it in the moss, and then glue it into place where I want some more green moss. I think that works really well. I've still got a gaplet in the center to be able to plant as well, so we get some plants creeping through there. So by complete luck, this stick is exactly the same shape as that piece there. So if I wrap that in moss as well, I think that'll be a really nice little standout point, and still got all the planting room behind it as well. There we go. I think that is looking fantastic, but I've run out of time for today. Now, what am I going to do with this? I'm not going to fill up with water, am I? And I don't want it to dry out. So I'm going to spray it all down, put a paper towel on each section, and it'll be fine till I crack on with tomorrow and do the full planting. So the next morning, I took off all of the paper towel and everything was still wet and brilliant. So if you ever run out of time, don't hesitate to do this. It works very well. And then I just sprayed the whole thing down again, just making sure it's nice and wet for the next phase. And it's now time to add in our first epiphyte plants. And as luck would have it, I've just taken delivery of an absolute ton of different plants. We've got a load of Java ferns here, even more Java ferns in this one. We've got stems and crypts. We've got echinodorus and stems there. Even more crypts and some foreground plants. And then crypts, stems and echinodorus in this one. We've got so many options. Now these are really, really simple to prepare, epiphytes especially, because they've got the rock wall look, and then there's a rhizome in the middle with roots. You take off the outer rock wall, and there's always some all around the rhizome. Just pick off as much as you can without damaging all the roots too much. As many roots as you can keep on, the better. So that's a very good example of the rhizome and the roots. That bit there is the rhizome, and then all the plants shoot out of it, and it just keeps on growing. And sometimes if you're struggling, I've found that it's nice and easy just to take a fork, run it through the roots, and that way you don't rip them off, and you can just gently take out all the rock wool as well. So we've got Microsorum terapis trident here, so see how it's quite flicky. It's called trident because the leaves go off in like, it's quite hard to show actually, but they go off in like a trident shape, which is different from the terapis narrow. Look, you can see they look completely different. This is great for finer details, and this is great for bulking up certain areas. Now we want to place the plants in key areas. So I've deliberately left this area quite sort of rough here because I know I'm filling it out with the epiphyte plants. And again on the opposite side at the back. And I'm thinking there'll be one just off center as well, just to create a bit more balance. But I'm not sure yet until I get it all in, and I'll have to place that probably on their own sort of like little rock island, but that's fine. There's lots of little tricks and methods we can use. Now the good thing is here, there is enough cracks and crevices that I don't even have to glue any of this. I can just make sure that it's in gaps, like that one there, can go right in, look really natural straight away. Then I've got the trident look, that can go right in that gap, just fill that whole area up. Nice, you can't see any of that, you know, roughness that was there before. Don't forget to keep misting everything as well, because it's going to dry out fast now. We've got all the lights on, it's warm. Now we've already used 6 pots of plants there, and obviously I'm not even counting the moss. But as you can imagine, doing a large-scale tank like this, it's not going to be cheap if you're going to be packing out the whole thing with plants straight away, which I do advise you do. Now the beauty of this system is it works on any scale, so if you want to do it in say a 45 centimetre tank, you absolutely can. Just follow the same idea and it should work absolutely fine. It always has done for me anyway. The good news is that most of the stuff I've used in terms of like the substrate is all relatively cheap, and you can always find cheaper ways of doing it. So you can use soil from your garden if you really want. It's just a bit more like uncontrolled, I guess. You know, how nutrient rich is the soil, for instance. At least if you're buying the aquatic soil, you know that it's designed for water. So that's why I tend to go with that one. And your sand, you know, you can buy your aquarium sand from an aquarium shop where, you know, it's all pre-cleaned and grain sizes are equal and stuff. You can do what I did and get it from a builder's merchant, wash it, until it's completely clear, which is going to take more time. But it's all ways of saving money, and the reason I'm saying that is the more money you've saved in those aspects of it, the more you can spend on the plants, and honestly, the more you do spend on the plants, the better this is going to be for you. Along with the substrate system, the plants are doing everything in terms of filtration. And also, it just looks brilliant straight away, the more you can put in. So I'd say it'd save at least 50% of your budget for just plants. So up next is Monte Carlo, really good for fine details on foreground. You're not really going to see it at the back, but you can also put it on hardscape as well if you want to. It does do quite well in those situations. Now I have found though in a low-tech setup, making sure you keep it all as one big plant and not splitting it up works way better. I can't explain why. Just keeping the plant with a larger root system from the start seems to make a big difference. Next up is going to be the mid-ground section just behind this first row of sticks or logs. And for that I've got two types of crypts that I want to use. Now at this stage they haven't been in the water yet and have been grown out of water, which means they look kind of similar, but they won't do as they grow in. We're using Crypt Wenti Green and Crypt Bacchetti Patchy. And these are all prepared just the same way as all the other plants. We take them out from the pots, pull away the outer edges of the rock wool, and then use your fork to scrape away any extras, trying to keep the roots intact as much as possible. Some people suggest that you just cut the whole lot off, roots and leaves as well, and then it grows back with the underwater growth faster. But I've actually found that if you keep the big root systems in place, you get them converting way quicker. So I always keep the roots like that. I tend to do that with them and then plant them into the substrate. Now the good thing about the crypts is they do not mind being in a bit of a shaded area. Obviously they grow even better in brighter light because that's how plants work, but they still look great in shaded areas. And if you go for the brighter greens like the Wenti Green, you can actually make a darkened area look even brighter than it is because of light and things. Now I've got some feature plants here. These come from Tropica's new clip range. Roots already there, look. You just undo them. There we go. Got the plants to use that easy. This is Echinodoris blah. Put it on the screen. There's going to be a nice big feature in the sort of medium to background areas. For mid-ground stem plants, I've got Hatonia palustris, and this doesn't grow too fast. It stays quite compact as well. Very easy to trim. It'll be a nice little addition to that mid-ground area. Now for our background plants, we've got Ludwigia grandulos, Ludwigia rubens rubin, and Siamensis 53B. This is very fast growing, very punchy and green, and the other two are really going to add a nice pop of red as well. Well, I think that looks great, and that's enough plants for now. I want to fill it up, so I'm not rushing, and take my time with any areas that need an extra touch or anything. I'm not sure if they do. Maybe I want to add some Busis and some Anubias because we haven't got any at the moment, but yeah, just fill it up now and can add those after. So considering you builder's sand, the gravel, all the different things in here, wood, I'm pretty pleased with that for a first fill up. Although I am kind of convinced when I come in tomorrow, this is going to be very murky, and that's fine. We can do our first water change straight away and just get rid of any sort of free roaming nutrients in the water column. You can kind of see a murkiness down on this bottom section already where a load of tannins and things are leaching off of the wood. Like I say, it's to be expected, and in the startup phases of doing this aquarium, there will be a little bit of maintenance, and water changes, but after a few weeks, it won't be like that at all. You just got to sort of ride the storm to start with, and you'll benefit massively later on. So there we go. I'm massively pleased with that so far, but I know we're going to get issues. So what I'm going to do in the next video, you're going to see the issues because I know they're coming, and I'm going to show you how to tackle them because you're going to probably run into some problems yourself if you're trying to do this, and you need to know that information. So I think it's important not to skip over any of that and just let it do its thing, and then we can talk about how you resolve issues moving forwards. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you on the next one. It's about to get spicy.